All right, everybody, welcome to today's call. It is Friday, my favorite day of the week because we have some fun here in this call. Friday, March 27th of 2020, in the thick of still dealing with the COVID debacle and how to deal with that. But I want to kind of get back to listening to some real live calls and stay focused on that. And Russell was kind enough to send me some stuff. Russ, I know you were in there early and often, and Russell works out in Seattle via the Philippines. And also maybe we'll get Maxie too. But I wanted to listen to some of those calls and go right at them early and often here today so that we're making the best use of this hour that we have together before we hit the weekend. I would love questions also about how to infuse about COVID, to be respectful on it, but not forget why you're doing this. You're in this business for being in, the reason to be in this business is to sell something or help guide somebody through selling or buying. So we can't forget when we do telemarketing, like we said the other day, lots of calls yesterday from Campfire to my own Griffin Realty Group to all this stuff. And we were really, focused on this, right? So let's get after it early and often here. And I'm going to give you all the ability. I believe you could unmute yourself, even though I've muted you. So go ahead, Club of Nation. It looks like you unmuted yourself, so you're good. And Russell, try to unmute yourself. And I'm going to go listen to your calls first, as I told you I would. And if Maxie's with us, we'll deal with Maxie as well. So Russell, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, pal. So you sent me, there's been several weeks of recordings, which I appreciate you. Thanks so much. You've been giving them to me on a regular basis. I'm going to work backwards and try to grab a couple of those, okay? Is that okay with you? The most recent ones?
Okay.
Okay. Do you want it, Russell? Do you want to give me any context on these two to give me an idea on what I'm listening to? I said could have clarified more on what she was looking for, ended up calling her back. Sounds like a buyer. Then the next one I think went fairly smoothly, wasn't able to get a price range. Are these all buyers?
I think so.
Okay.
Those two specific ones, those two notes right there. Yeah.
Okay.
They're buyers. So, that first one you mentioned, I just had to clarify more details on what she was looking for.
Okay.
It's a pretty good lead.
All right. Well, let's just take a look. Listen to this. We've got the context. Everybody knows that we're looking at buyer leads, and let's go in and listen to one of these, and we'll start now. Hang on one sec.
Like the Queen Anne area, or like east of Cap Hill, just over like 15th Street.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have anything that starts right off being recorded other than that one that you're already in it?
I normally start like a little bit into it because I just don't record when, I don't waste time trying to record.
I definitely want you to record the whole call. Here's why.
Okay.
The way that you start off and arrive at this moment, I don't know. Don't know, because this becomes really, really important. If there is a technique and tactic that we want to share with everybody, it's to keep the intro as clean and simple and formulaic as possible. Calling buyer leads, I have the context I need. I also would know, for example, the extra context if you were during the COVID lockdown, I would have some context there too. So remember why I'm asking. I need to know how people start off to know how they arrive at this. Having said that, it's no problem, but it's the idea is I got to hear it. Because let me just say this. We went through this. I had a great training session of several of them with the team up in Ottawa. Okay. And that was Dave just talking from Ottawa. And we talked about the buy side, and we talked about sync leads. And I know these are sync leads as well. Maybe Boomtown, but sync or Boomtown, right? So there's a process that those people went through to arrive at that phone call. That's what they went through. And we need to be fully cognizant of what that is. So, and we also need to be fully cognizant of what you said and what that allowed them to say next, okay? So there's the backdrop for why. Why is this such a big deal? Because we really are dealing with these micro moments that matter a lot to your success. So let's go back and say, what did I train the gang on Auto with the same leads? I said, look, I wanted them to see the ad and what it said generally. Duran can help you with that, okay? The next thing is once they clicked that ad, there were trigger words in there that they arrived at a landing page. What does that page look like? Does it have pictures? Is it, graphics? What is it? What do I land on? Because then when I go to get interested to click on an individual property, that's the way that this works. What happens is up pops the capture box. And the capture box in your case said, create your free account in big bold letters. And then it says get access to the MLS and exclusive listings, right? And then it has an updated time. So that's the experience that this buyer went through. Now, whether you get them quickly right after they did it, or you get them down the line, and these are follow-up calls where you were never able to get them, that you got them quickly. Now you're able to relate to something verbally that they get it. Yep, I did just go in there. But you might have to be in a reminder standpoint. So the way that we say it, you're the one that has the context. You're the only one that has the context, meaning what? You know whether or not, this guy just came in yesterday. He's been in there. This is a follow-up to old leads. You know that. So the only slight contextual change that you're going to make is what you can. But fundamentally, a buyer is a buyer is a buyer. That's it.
Yeah.
Right? Follow me? I mean, there's nothing going to be different about, this buyer at the core. That's the key point here. Okay. So having said that, let me go back to what I would say. All right. Now I know that this guy created a free account and he's using our website to search for properties. Good. So now I pick up the phone and I say, Russell, right? Whatever tonality meets the scenario. I was a little bit too dramatic there, but the point is, Russell, that's a technique. So what that sounds like, you hearing yourself say it and them being triggered to react, that's everything to you, right? It's very important to you. So that's what I don't hear. Why? Because when Paul Cantu had some of his recordings from his gal in Mexico City, she wasn't doing that. At times she would, and it was a smoother call. At times she would go, hi, is this Russell? Russell, how you doing? And blah, blah, blah. And off it would go, right? That's the whole idea. So the idea here is that, you're going through this whole process where every little way that you move them along matters, okay? So now what I said to the gang up in Ottawa was very simple. Dave, this is Danny Griffin calling from Griffin Realty Group. The reason I'm calling is because I saw that you created your free accounts on our website so that you could get access to the multiple listing service as well as all the exclusive listings. And I noticed that you were looking particularly in Orleans. And I wanted to make sure that that was right and the criteria were all checked. Is it working okay for you? Something like that at the very end. But the idea is that you are there to serve in the moment that you arrive at with them. So understanding that whole process and going through it would be a good use of your time. To see the ad, click it, ride along it, and go from there. I'm not going to over dramatize the point, but I believe that you guys and gals should all be understanding how you arrive in that conversation. Okay. Now I know Duran has some very good training with you and Maxie to keep you guys in line with what his offers are on the buy side, and it's worked for him. Stick to it. But the way that you get there, where you can make the offer that he's scripted out for you, really matters, okay? So let's go back and listen to this. And unfortunately, I'm a little bit blind because I don't know, right?
I think the other recording is probably better. It's closer to the beginning.
All right, good. Which one? Do you have one in particular?
I think the name is Putri.
Got it.
Or something like that.
Got it. Here we go. Thanks for a little clarification, okay? Any questions about what I said before I move on? Pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah, but I got a quick question for you, just for clarification's sake. You lead that's on your system is Dave, and a woman answers the phone.
Mrs. Jones.
Yeah.
You're not going to ask Mrs. Dave.
Okay, fair enough.
I would assume it's Mrs. Jones, though. That's what I would do.
Yeah. And again, I think assumptions in that case, Mrs. Jones would be a good adjustment. So I'm with Russell. I mean, I'd make that, Mrs. Jones. Sure.
I have something for that.
Go ahead, Dave. Come on. Okay. Come on, hit it. Beautiful.
Usually when I get a lead, if it's a home evaluation lead, I'm always looking up the title on it if you can. So if I'm calling and I see Dave has a spouse on title as well, and it's a woman, if I have her name or any idea about that, that'll sort of prepare me in that way.
Cool.
Just curious what everyone else is doing.
No, I thought that was good. I mean, I think that's a legitimate thing. I mean, I'm training as if it's that person, but that's the next level. It could be somebody else. And we find that with a lot of these recorded calls that we do in this. So let's suffice to say, if you hear somebody other than be cognizant of that moment. But my biggest point is he says somebody's name, even if it's a title, as shortly as he can say it with a question mark at the end. Why? We know that after doing thousands of these, it's a trigger to get a response. Paul knows intimately that when somebody goes on too much, all of a sudden you've lost control of where you're trying to arrive. We have a 7-second or so window to be valuable, to be of service, and to have that 7-second window be the introduction of that service. Okay? Whether it's something they opted into, or we are actually calling them to try to get something to them, and that's the first ever point of contact with our company. It's irrelevant in the formulaic approach. Get it out of your mouth. Stay in the beats. Dean? Mrs. Miller? Mrs. Miller, I was looking for Dean. Is Dean available? Whatever the case may be, just be ready, but keeping it short and sweet. And even if it's not Mr. Miller, right? Then go with Mrs. Miller. Just go with it. Mrs. Miller, this is Danny Griffin calling from Griffin Realty Group. The reason I was calling is because I noticed your beautiful house online and I noticed it didn't sell. So I wanted to send you and Mr. Miller some information that would help you sell it the next time. Mr. Miller still might be the decision maker. I don't know. But why wouldn't I just get that out of my mouth? Because that is my offer. And that offer is what sweetens the interruption. I go from an interruption calling the buyer who opted in, calling the expired, it's always an interruption in that moment in time. So the speed with which we get out an offer of giving is critical if you want to be in a separate lane, no matter what type of lead. So let's keep going. Let me go back to Russell's thing. Dean, good question though. Dave, good input. Russell, good input. Let me go back to this. Here we go.
You're from which real estate agency?
That's Weisbart and Associates.
White Park.
Yeah, we received an indication through Facebook that you were thinking about buying in Seattle.
Oh, yes. So, yeah, we're looking for a good school district.
Okay.
And a 2-bedroom minimum.
Okay.
Like, the higher the better, but then again depends upon the price range and everything and the location. So primarily a good school location and a minimum 2-bed, 2-bath house is what we are looking at.
Okay, so what's your timeline? Are you looking to buy as soon as you find the right home, or do you need a few months?
Yeah. No, I mean, if we find the right house, then we may want to buy.
I see. Okay.
But if I don't know how the situation is going because of now the lockdown and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, there's some hurdles there. But do you currently rent now, or do you own your home?
No. We are in rented property.
You're renting?
Renting, yes.
I see. Okay. Do you have a realtor to help you out when the time is right?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I just started looking here.
I see. All right. Well, what we can do for you is we can, with the lockdown and everything, we can actually maybe do a screen share or phone appointment. What we can do is we can set you up with daily updates by email properties that match your home buying criteria from all the different real estate companies. And this would actually come directly from the source of information. I'm not sure if you know how the system works, but there's only one primary source of information about homes for sale in the area. And that's the Northwest MLS. All the other websites get their information from that one site. So if you're serious about buying a home, you really want to get your information from the Northwest MLS. This way you get the best and the most updated information. They'll actually send you email alerts as soon as a property that fits your criteria hits the market, meaning that it's either brand new to the market, or if it's a deal that fell through and it's coming back to the market, or there's a price change. Any one of these will trigger that notification to you right away. There's no cost and no obligation. Would this be helpful for you?
Yes.
Great. So when can we set up a phone meeting with one of our buying specialists, and they'll set up the search exactly the way you want it directly on the Northwest MLS. This way you receive only the properties that you're interested in. And they can even also go over the home buying process to make sure you understand how the system works and you know exactly what to.
All right, I'm going to grab it there because I have a nugget. Okay. First of all, I like that you're respecting Duran's offer approach, and you were good, and you got through it in a good tone and a good pace. But when you ask for what you want out of it, which is the appointment, okay, because you have a willing player here, you know, I wish you guys would make some room for why is she doing it, right? You know, just you get her more involved in this. This is a one-way process at the moment. So, for example, when we do the expireds in this call, we get to a beat and we're like, may I send that information? Yes, you may. Okay, let me just confirm it's this address. Is that correct? Yes. Wonderful. I'll put that in the mail and I'll call you next week, demonstratively. I'll call you next week to make sure that you received it. Period. I'm done. Now, I have more that I'd like to talk about, but I have to finish that beat. What you're doing is doing this perfectly, okay, the way that he wants to. And you're closing for, in this case, because of COVID, you did a good job respecting that. Quick words, lockdown, this thing, you're doing it, right? And you're giving a reason for a Zoom meeting, perhaps, right? Close the deal, though, because you go into reiterating all over again the benefits. She's already said, would this be helpful? Yes. Wonderful. Let me find out the best time for you to meet with one of our buyer specialists who will walk you through the process. When would that be? Because it's already a lot. What you're delivering for a service offer is a lot. You guys say a lot in this offer, and I know it works. I always push Duran to try to edit it down to the least amount of words without losing something, but you did a good job, and you get there, and you're done. So now don't become a problem, right? Because she has to get back in this game with you. People will help what they support. I mean, they will support what they help create. You're not allowing her enough creation time in this relationship. You did a lot of talking, which is fine. It's a very specific offer that you're articulating, but you have to stop, Russell, and let her back in here. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I actually went off script on that. The next part was supposed to be asking for the appointment. It was just the day before we had a meeting, and he really clarified on that additional benefit about going over the process. So I just kind of went off on that.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. Well, because what's happening is you're trying to find a rhythm with all this information. But what's scripted is scripted, okay? And that's why I say the very early parts of calls where we make the proper introduction. See what I mean? I really wanted to hear how you introduced this so I could tighten it up so you could easily get to that longer offer, okay? That's all. So I really want to hear how you sound in the beginning so that I know this offer is long, okay? But now allow, and I understand what happened to them. They get excited and they want to talk. We want to talk. We're salespeople. We want to talk. We want to keep talking. Hey, this is great. You want this? Great. You know, did you know the benefits? Did you know the benefits? That's our brain going Mach 10 with our hair on fire, right? We need to slow that down and allow for her, listen to her. Would that be beneficial to you? Yep. She says it softly. She says it calmly, but you can feel her almost the way she says it after she was talking about herself, what she wanted. All that stuff was good. But after you've done this long-winded offer, you could almost feel her sink. Hey, guys, remember, we have open mics here. I can hear a little noise in the background. Just make sure you self-mute. Thanks. So, hey, buddy, hang on. I figured. You or Dean or Gail. So the deal is, when you go there, Russell, just be that guy that now listens. Make it about her again. She said yes. The offer that he wrote for you wins. It's a yes. Wonderful. When could I set you up with a buyer specialist? And of course, because of lockdown, we're happy to do it online. Period. Just stop. Get the date. You're there. Because the more you talk about the offer, the more you confuse her. Right?
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? So let's listen to the ending of it and we'll go from there.
To prepare, and that way when the perfect home does.
Oh, looks like it's going to cut me off there. So it's going to cut me off there. But you got the point. I mean, we got there. You got it done. Good job. Look, I've always been a fan of yours. I think your tone is conversational. You're calm, right? Just don't lose it because, dudes, we lose that loving feeling in here somewhere. And that's what you're doing. You're losing the two-way empathetic part of this. So I have to make you aware. You need to care about her a little bit more. And you won't go off on that second piece of it. That make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, let's grab another one from you. Is Maxie on with us too, by the way?
I think she is.
Maxie, if you're there, make sure your mic is unmuted. because we drag you into this conversation here. All right. While she's doing that, Maxie, feel free to say I'm here in the middle of this, but I'm going to listen to another one.
Yeah. Like South Seattle?
Yeah, somewhere like that.
I see. Okay. Do you have anything specific in mind, or?
Yeah, 3 bedrooms, something like that. And
you see, this is an interesting thing that's happening here too, is that you're getting into some of the specifics about properties versus the specifics about why he's doing this, right? You follow me? Because I have yet to hear you figure out why this move is happening, and is it really happening in the near future? Right? Follow me?
He's actually further out. This guy.
Which is great, but I'm wondering why, if you've made the offer for specifics, isn't it the job? I'm asking this now. I'm not suggesting. I'm asking. Isn't it now the job of the OSA to do what you're doing right here?
Well, the thing about that is this is a Doron thing too. Is and he later on he made this an optional thing about asking what they're looking for. It's really about to get them talking and get them, on a conversation. But besides that too, they also like to get those details from me, like price range and stuff like that. 'Cause that way he has a good idea of who to assign it to and where they're looking and all that stuff.
Well, stick it to that then.
Yeah.
Where are you looking? What's your price range? Stick there. Okay. See what I'm saying? The least amount of questions, simple. If you deliver, because I'm with Duran, if Autumn sends me something, like she has me 2 phone appointments today, I've already had one. I really need to know why he's selling this at all. And I wasn't clear on the motivation level, right? Because when I asked it, he wouldn't answer it. He would say, well, I don't know, so that means he's not really yet. He's not. He's not. And he was a little defensive about, I built it myself and I don't want to give it away. So I heard all the buzzwords we all hear, right? So the motivation is clearly not a 10. Now, is it a good situation? Yes. Am I willing to build relationship? Yes. Okay. But I'm going to have to get face to face with him so he calms down and he doesn't feel attacked per se. And he'll tell me the truth. And he did. He told me a deeper reason, why. He only told Autumn, look at my daughter, doesn't really want to sell it. Well, I found out some personal things about his daughter, and they were pretty heavy situations, okay? So now the level of respect and gear, we shift down, okay? But if you don't know something personal about their reason, you don't really know how to say something beyond, hey, Duran, he's looking in this area in this price range. And his reason for moving is this. What outside sales agent doesn't want to know that? You follow me?
Yeah.
So what I would say is I would stay away from too many superfluous questions about details. Let the OSA worry about that. Get the area, the price range, and get the reason. Why are you doing this? And maybe if it's really, conversational, geez, that's a pretty big reason on a scale of 1 to 10. What would you say you are? Now all of a sudden it comes over as this really good potential appointment where you cut to the chase.
Yeah.
I mean, go ahead. Come on.
Alert. I'm more alert about that on the sellers. It's like that's kind of like what I really do with the sellers is kind of figure out: are you serious about this, or is this a make me move? Basically,
interesting. Why wouldn't you think the same way about the buyers?
I guess I'm more on like going with the flow. Maybe I just not consciously thinking about it. Maybe I just
remember what we said. Remember what we talked about with you and Maxie, and what I'm, talking to Duran about is what matters is the efficiency of this entire process. So if you go with the flow, quote unquote, and start getting detached from why this offer helps them and getting detached from them as the hero of the story, we forget to ask the basic things like, do you really have to do this move? Because think about the inefficiencies that get created. If you don't know why, and they're sort of just looking, and you miss some major thing, like, I'm not doing this until I get my transfer. Really? When do you find out about your transfer? 6 months from now. Now you just sent an appointment to Duran. He sends out one of the OSAs or himself, and all of a sudden they come back and going, this guy's not even ready. Where you could have found that out in one beat on the phone.
We actually had a meeting about that topic, and I brought that up because actually I've kind of been more leaning towards that, like finding out what their timeline is, and we kind of just we deal with the callback. But we did have a conversation with like, and maybe I do need to find a balance here of being more of like of service to them versus just like, what's your timeline? Okay, I'll call you back type thing to it. So that this call actually happened after that we had that meeting and stuff. So
well, Russell, you know what's interesting? We're always trying. Yeah, we've all been taught get timing and motivation. Get timing and motivation.
Yeah,
that's all about us.
Sometimes I come up callous.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you can. By the way, let me just show you this. You can get timing and motivation by asking a better, more personal question that shows you care about them. Why are you even going to bother to go through this process? But what is the purpose of an appointment where they don't have a real why to move yet? You see what I'm saying? It's the absurdity of the moment. All we want to do is rush and trip over ourselves to get an appointment, and we might get to the appointment and find out the guy or gal doesn't even have a real why yet. Doesn't make any sense to me. You do with it what you want, but my thought is this. You did a great job delivering the value of getting them set up directly on Northwest MLS. You did a great job, okay? Leave that alone. I know that's the sacred cow over there, okay? But when you asked for the appointment, just stop talking. Yeah. Wrap it up. She said, would that be benefit to you? Great. Okay, once she's committed to the yes, the law of corroboration kicks in, she's more likely to support the request for the appointment at that moment in time. Okay? Because you gave her something and she said it would benefit. Wonderful. Here's how we get started. I'll set you up, given COVID-19, I'll set you up with a video chat with one of the outside sales specialists who will really go into the details and get this account set up in the right spot. Okay? Period. Yeah. Leave that to them. But let me just clarify for the OSA, I can tell them and be transparent. I want to be able to tell the OSA the price range in the area, at least to start, and I'll tell them why you're moving. Okay? Boom. You get a nice little package to send over. You button it up and you're done. You're done. Because now, Russell, what happens if the reason is not really now, you can still say, okay, well, let's get the video chat set up. Now you go to Duran and go, she's got kind of an iffy reason. You've created more value internally for decision-making processes, right? Here's what I told you and Maxie too. The danger, and this is for everybody here, anybody in sales, if you get a light yes, and you don't even know why when you could have found out right there, all right, I'll call you in half the time. To discuss what? That you still don't know why they were doing this in the first place, and then we wonder why people disappear, go dark, or cheat on us, when we have them in our hands to figure out, is there a real reason for buying or selling? Period. It just makes logical sense. But yet we want to stuff our database with all these calls. Now we have to go back and get somebody back on the phone again. You just got them. It's hard enough. Find out why. That's the key point here. Okay, Russ?
Okay.
This is good. Go practice some of those, and I want the full recording, please. I want to hear the intro, and I want to go from there. And next time, try to give me one buyer and one seller, and I'll try to get you connected the same way you are to the seller, because it is the same caring. It's the same idea of making an offer that is so beneficial to them. The right avatar will say, yes, that does sound helpful. What's next? Right? That's the logic of it. Maxie, one more call out to you. I don't know if you are there or not.
She texted me. She said she's trying to talk, but she can't be heard.
Okay, she has to unmute herself. Let me see if I can find you, Maxie.
It looks like she's called in.
There you are,
there
Maxie.
she is.
Go ahead, Maxie. Any thoughts on that?
Hi. I get your point that, you know, instead of us really following the script, we could probably deviate sometimes.
Well, hold on. I don't want that. I don't want to be in conflict with what I agree with the business owner. The business owner has a very clear script for you in the beginning, okay? Don't deviate from that. That's not what I'm saying. I want to be very clear. You get that done, and once you get the knee-jerk reaction, do you think that would be beneficial to you? You get a yes, wonderful. What would be the best time for me to have the outside sales specialist call you to set the account up? Period. Finish it. Okay? Now, just once that's done, hey, by the way, while I have you so I can set up the best appointment, how come you're trying to make a move in the first place? Right? Just get done what Duran wants done. Okay? Just get it done and leave it alone. Because if we start messing with it, we start tripping all over ourselves. Get it done, confirm the appointment, and say, okay, now that we have the appointment confirmed, I'd just like to make it the best use of time. So I can tell the outside sales specialist, why are you trying to make the move again? You know? And on a scale of 1 to 10, how motivated are you to make it? That will get you there enough so that now you have that quality info. So it's not deviating. It's creating the second beat the right way. And you can hear Russell start to stumble during the second beat. He's got the first beat down, but he gets in his own way, right? He starts to, Russ, what you're doing, you're babbling over her. Let her say yes, get the date and time, and then go to this other stuff, right? So, Maxie, it's just a second beat, okay? Because Duran would love to know why. He'd love to know why. Every single outside salesperson in this call would love to know why they're doing this so that you know what you're up against when you go in, right? All right.
So, yeah, I do get your point that we'll follow the script, and to keep that two-way loving feeling there, we really need to, like at the end of or before ending the call, we could probably ask on a scale of 1 to 10, how motivated are you?
Well, hold on. Let me go back up. I'm gonna drill this into everybody's brain today. Thank you for playing my game. Okay, finish it. Get your appointment. But the loving feeling that Russell was able to elicit early on was when he let her talk about what she wants. Everybody wants it. Well, I want to be on this side, and I want to be in a school district, and I want 3 bedrooms, and I want 4 beds, right? That's why I said be careful of losing the conversation to all of what they want. They're getting it off their chest. Wonderful. We're going to get all that criteria and more in the MLS system. In fact, the MLS system allows for even more detail. You're going to love it. So understand what that is. We have the vibe. So let me just find out when the best time to hook you up would be. Hey, by the way, why are you trying to make a move in the first place? That's that loving feeling that goes back to after. So we've got this sandwich. In the beginning, they start talking about what they want. You make the offer to help them get a better look at what they want. You book the appointment to set it up, and you close out that first beat. Then you go back to the loving feeling by asking a personal question. Why are you trying to make this move in the first place? That's personal. And that allows them to do what? Talk about themselves and what's going on in their life. All the while telling you, is it a real reason to buy? Now you give them clarification on timing by not going, well, when do you think? Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, how motivated are you to do it quickly? Well, I'm a 10. Well, geez, I mean, I know it's COVID-19, but, would you rather we come by and, do this? You know what I mean? I'm making that piece up, given the context, but that's how you can close for a right now appointment even further. Would you rather we came out sooner? Because you have a real reason and you're a 10. That's the way that we get what we want. But in 2 beats, 1, he let her talk about what she wanted, made the offer. Yes, it's beneficial. Book the appointment, set the time. Hey, by the way, while I have you, why? Now it really gets personal. Now they're beginning to feel more connected. Geez, that's a pretty big reason. On a scale of 1 to 10, would you say, where are you at? I'm an 8. Geez, how come so low with such a big reason? Well, I've never been pre-qualified. No problem. In the meantime, during this, let me also set you up with our lender. It just becomes logical. But if you become disconnected from how our process works, look, I just went over it on Campfire. So everybody in here that hasn't seen the Campfire video from yesterday, I went through this on the buy side. The letters are right up behind me. The number 1 point on the buy side is representation. And the number 2 is finance. That F stands for finance. The number 1 thing that we do as representatives to help a buyer who hasn't been properly pre-qualified or hasn't secured a bank from the letter that says letter from the bank that says they can pay cash. Well, it's not like everything's a script. Life isn't a script. Okay, we use scripts to humanize the business end of it. It's all business. Like if we could talk to people, all right, look, if you have a real reason, shh, be quiet, listen to me. I will give you some guidance on what to do with or without me. Here's what you need to do. You got to get set up on MLS. Stop running around the internet looking at all this stuff that may or may not be accurate. It all comes out of MLS. Get set up there, okay? It'll take a few minutes with one of our outside sales agents who can meet with you and get it down exactly, okay? And by the way, they'll give you some tips on how to go through the buying process correctly so you don't get smoked. That's what we would all really want to say to somebody if we already had the relationship. I would talk to Dean like that, right? So the way I would talk to him. Come on, what are you doing? Do this the right way. But we don't have that relationship. So we have to build this relationship to allow them to trust us a wee bit so they'll listen. I just talked to Amy, my client who just closed yesterday, and she's the one that I use all the time with this expired deal that we talked about. In the beginning, we said why. It was a huge reason. They were already in the other house, and they were going to lose it. They had already downsized. So there was a huge reason. And I said, geez, on a scale of 1 to 10, what are you? 15. So that's why I said the ideal avatar is a 10 to 15. And when Amy and I were talking this morning, I said, do you remember what you said? Because I coach about it. She said 15. And I said, you know what I knew in that instant? You would listen to my guidance, and I knew we were a great match at that moment, no matter how harrowing this would be. And it was. It was a very difficult deal. Had one, fell apart. I was working a backup deal at the same time, kept it together. And she's still stressed. We had to have a de-stress conversation, even though the house is sold today. And that's just the process. So I want you two to understand that, because you're halfway around the world in the Philippines. And the further disconnected you become from that human way that people are going through this, the more scripted you sound. Duran has a wonderful offer that is the benefits there. She said yes. Close for the appointment and be understanding what they're doing. Hey, look, we're going to have one of our specialists sit with you. They're going to put their personal guidance time for free so that you can get set up, so that you can see what's really happening. And I'm sure they'll throw in some sold properties so you see what the money's buying, and you can get the tips that they take their buyer clients through. Boom. It's just logical. You follow me?
Yeah, makes sense.
Cool. Maxie?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yep. You good?
Okay.
You
Yeah.
got that?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I got it. I got some things noted here too.
good. I want to hear calls now. So we hear what we go from theory and teaching today. I want to hear them next week, and we'll play them first. We won't spend this much time because this was very helpful to everybody to hear a different full offer on the buy side that works. Okay. It works.
Yeah.
It's long, so you better be careful to bring them back in the conversation, because even though you're articulating benefit and they say yes, bring them back. Humanize it again. Very important for you too. Okay? So I'll expect some full calls from both of you. Here's what I'd like you to do. Each of you pick one of your best. Okay? Just one of your best.
All right.
One each. Let's celebrate adjustments that work, okay? All you got to do is have one great call between now and Friday, and I'll listen to them both, okay?
All right.
Cool. All right, here we go. Thank you two. You rock. Kleba, you were in line first here. Can you please go through the beats again that you and I discussed this morning? Is that cool? What beats did you want me to hit? You mean you're muted, so I can unmute you. Tell me in specific, Klebs, what exactly what you wanted me to reiterate.
Just the beats that we talked about on the phone this morning when calling, specifically calling Boomtown leads. Just run through the quick 30-second intro.
You mean you mean regarding
the beats that you wanted me to hit on that email video that I'm sending out as well.
Okay, so in this context, Chris and I were talking about the new context of COVID-19 and the opportunity to be respectful in that, but still to continue. Okay, so Chris happens to have a lot of, like Dean, you inspired clubs, so you'll be happy to know that to sit down and look at whether they're a lot of buyer lead stuff today, which is good, because a lot of you have this stuff that you haven't done enough with, and it's sitting there. So instead of going at thousands of leads, you're cheating to best probabilities, which means who has logged in a certain amount of time, probably the last 30, 60 days, makes some sense. Well, what do you say to somebody like that you haven't talked to, and now you have this COVID experience, okay? So let me go back to what we practice with the gang. David especially, he's here today. I know that, so I'll reference that. In Ottawa, we went through the same thing. So Chris, that an ad was run, a landing page was achieved. I would go back and look at what the landing page says on Boomtown, because at the moment, I'm very clear on what it says on Sync. So whatever it promised them, that gives you reason to be there again and to remind them what they did and how they came into your world, right? So now you say, let's presume it's the same, okay? Chris? Hey, Chris, this is Danny Griffin calling from Griffin Realty Group. I know we're all locked down with this COVID-19 situation, but I happen to be looking at everybody that created a free account on our website, and I noticed that you had done so to get access to the MLS and all the exclusive listings. And so I just wanted to call you, make sure that you were getting all these things in this section, Lake Norman, that you wanted. It looks like you were looking at 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. Is it working okay for you? That's it. That's it. But Chris, as long as I know that I always go back formulaically, how did they first experience me? It's irrelevant when I'm calling them, because I can always make it relevant. So a lot of you that have stockpiled leads and for one reason or another never gotten to them, your paralytic fear is that, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. It's like past clients. It's the same thing. The longer the time period where we didn't do what we probably know we should have done, we tend to throw it further away and maybe just put it under the rug and never go back. Why? What a wonderful opportunity to see, especially on a platform like that, if there's engagement. So you pull the engaging list, which is only a percentage of the total. It's not an obligation to say, oh, I'm inspirationally dissatisfied. I'm going to flog myself by calling every lead and I'm going to start with A and go to Z. Well, that's just dumb and bravado. You go to probabilities, right? And the probability is that somebody that's logged in and is looking is at least going to have a conversation with you where you can determine at the end of it, is there further opportunity, right? Follow me? Now, let's go to the video.
Jamie, also,
yep, come on.
I told you that I was sending out those bonbon videos.
Yes.
And you had some suggestions.
I did.
On some things.
I did. Let me go to that. I'll definitely go to that, and I'll bring up the special report. And since we're now using Zoom successfully, those of you that are all on it, let me just start my screen. I'll share it, and I'll put what I'm talking about up in front of the screen for you that can see it, and the rest of you, I'll be as articulate as I can about, and it's not the one I want. Hang on one sec. I might have put it up. Hang on. Chris, there's just a beat in the beginning that matters a lot when it comes to, hang on one second. Looks like I did not open it. Bear with me. And there's just a beat in the beginning about COVID. Okay. So here it is. Of course, I just had it in front of me in 2 seconds. Of course, between you and Dean, it's just a bad mojo that you two put together. Can you guys all hear me okay? Did I lose everybody?
Get me started.
I know. Well, I'm trying to wake you up. You've been too quiet.
No, listen, I will give you credit. You've stirred up a lot of 70s soul music in me today because I've heard Mrs. Jones and you've lost that love and feeling. So you're putting together a good playlist for me today. Singing Billy Paul. I got Billy Paul playing in my head for the last 45 minutes. It's great.
All right. Well, for some reason, wonky old. By the way, I'm getting rid of.
What are you trying to do?
I cannot open up a document simply. I do not like and am no fan of Word. I used to love Word. It's become the most wonky, buggy thing ever. So I just continue to want to move over.
There's the Mac stuff.
Well, I want to move.
Pages.
Well, I want to move to
Pages Word doc.
Yeah. What's that?
Pages and all the Mac software can save as Microsoft documents.
Yeah.
And spreadsheets.
Yeah, I'm going to Google. Anyway, let me get to this, Chris, because for some reason it won't open. So here's the deal. It's the beat that again, if you're going to do a video and a bomb, it goes back to the basic intro. By the way, you have it up on the Teachable site, so you can download it. But the essence is deal with Gail had just a brilliant, quick little quip that I picked up, which was deal with the 800-pound gorilla or the elephant in the middle of the room. This isn't the back of the room. This is standing in the middle of the room. The world is aware of COVID-19. So go right at it. Deal with it first, right? Hi, this is Chris Kleber with a special, and again, whatever area, Lake Norman market update, okay? Of course, our number one concern here at Kleber Nation is that you take care of yourself and your loved ones, and we feel the best way to stay properly informed is to visit, and my equivalent is mass.gov, And if you have loved ones across the country, cdc.gov, because that's where you can find the true up-to-date statistics on what's really happening. Okay. So please practice, use the best practices suggested by those websites and stay up to date with the real statistics, right? And it's all scripted for you if you want to use it, and you can read it. The next thing is, however, it is still my obligation to keep you up to date on what's happening in the market. Now, like Lee and the rest of the gang that has brought this up and is in the statistics that I mentioned in my COVID video, you want to say there is still an active market. From the month, during this last week, there was activity. Here's what happened. 95 properties still went under contract. Okay. 37 listings were brand new and came on the marketplace. So we still have to sell sellers and opportunistic buyers coming into play. So that's the essence of the beat there, right? Now, of course, given the lockdown, we suggest that if you do have to sell now or in the near term, you continue to prep your property inside and out by doing what would be best practices anyway right now, which is cleaning deeply inside and outside your house. If you're a buyer, the best thing to do is get with us so we can introduce you to our lender, or get with your banker so that you have your pre-approval or proof of funds letter ready to go. And you can match that up with us where we can get you set up on MLS with the features of what that money's buying. And you finish by saying, but remember, our number one concern is that you keep safe during these uncertain times by visiting these two websites, and feel free to reach out to us for further guidance. Something like that. That's it. It's just, and it's all written out for you. So unfortunately, I couldn't open it and show it here. But the idea here is to make sure that you are respectful of that, big gorilla in the room, period. Right? Because that's what it is. And you just mention it, but you be helpful. You don't just mention it and be patronizing and babble. And that's what I was saying to Russell and Maxie here today. Let's not forget what business we're in, and that we are called to be the leader in this. And so can we be a business with a conscience? That's all we teach here, regardless of COVID-19. I mean, we've been humanizing conversations since the founding of the TRC. We've been doing that differently. This is just new context to add. Say, hey, this has always been our philosophy, to take care of you first. And now that there's COVID, go here, and follow those practices and be safe. Now, I'm not going to stop leading because of COVID. I know that you still want to sell out there. I know that you want to buy still. And here's what we would do. Now, if you have questions about any of this, DM me, message me, email me. We are here for you. We are still working, albeit from home, period. It's just everything's a beat, and you think logically, but I think the specifics, like Lee highlighted it right before the call ended yesterday, where he's, talking, I think we were on Campfire when Lee said it. Just get those sound bites for statistics. That's our fact. Like how many cases there are in the United States, according to CDC, was different from what the news channel monger, the fear mongers were putting up there. Okay. When I went there today, it said 944 deaths on the CDC site. Last night on one of the news channels, it said 1,046. I'm going with what the CDC says. Okay. That's what I'm going with. And that's how inaccurate so much information can be. So we want to be purveyors of the most accurate information. And when it's outside our field, point them by curating to the best source possible, right? The best source would be the real governmental agency who's tasked with really paying attention to this stuff and the reports that come into them. Don't go on rumor and innuendo. That's when it's outside of what we do. You curate from the best sources. Now you come into what you are, and you are that source, right? You're the one that goes into MLS. Here's what went pending during this week. Here's what came on during this week. We think those are the two greatest indicators of the health or lack thereof of the business. People are still moving. So if you need to, you can contact me. Even if you're thinking about preparing 2-3 months down the road, what a wonderful time on lockdown to prepare your house properly. We have this seller guidance and this buyer guidance book for you. We'd be happy to email it out to you. So, I mean, I'm reiterating the same point over and over so you condition your brain to think in beats. Them is the number one beat I just told Maxie and Russell. COVID information, real estate information, and how to get in touch with you if they need you. That's it. Anybody else have a question about that besides Chris?
Hey, Danny.
Yep, go ahead, Paul.
I wanted to put my market reports up one more time for the month of February, since we're almost at the end of March.
Yep.
Looking for some language, different than what we usually put up. And I have a couple of sold houses this week, and usually it's like, boom, sold in 8 days, for 108% of asking. And I don't think that's probably the language I want to be using right this moment. So just looking.
I'm not a huge fan of that anyway. I think that's lost on a lot of people. I think it's cool, and I think it's a good secondary mention, But what I think matters to people is what we talked about in the script is the story, right? It's the story of what happened. If you have a just sold right now during all this, like we just took Amy and her husband through a really harrowing time. We're keeping this family together. We had to get a rental. The house sold and the kids had to be evacuated from Manhattan to come here. And so we just helped them with another client get a rental. That's a cool story, right?
Hey, can I push back on that a little bit?
Push back on what?
Using that.
Using what?
Using that you sold the house in 8 days in COVID-19.
Yeah,
well, that's what you said.
I just said I agreed. Well, you're not pushing back on me because I agree.
You're not pushing back on me either, because I'm saying I wouldn't say that now. That was my whole point of asking Danny the question. What better language?
Lee just wants a fight. It's Friday afternoon.
No, I'm not fighting, man. I think that hey, you don't think the market's not moving? We just sold a house in 8 days in COVID-19.
Yep.
That's a pretty shocking statement that gets people's attention.
Yep.
Is how I'm looking at it.
For sure, but I think it's a secondary thing. So again, I'll go back to what I said to Chris. Again, just my opinion. You do what you want. I think it's fine. I don't think you're going to hurt anybody. But I think what Alan saw, and Alan called out correctly with a lot of the social media, is the corny, nonsensical crap that some knucklehead puts up there that says, oh, locked down at home, buy a house from me, or homeless, or, look, be respectful. And I'll go back to Gail. Thanks to the ladies for always humanizing us here. Deal with the 800-pound, elephant or gorilla, whatever you want to call it, in the middle of the room. In spite of this, lockdown, there are people that still need to move. And what's unbelievable is this story about Sally and, Jim pictured here, where we got this done for them in 8 days, so it didn't stretch out and they weren't stressed out. So it's how we
my D side just fell asleep in that whole conversation.
Yeah, well, too bad, because you're not selling to all Ds. Yeah, but dude,
I know.
You want me to push back on you? That's why you don't have a social media presence.
Oh, shots fired.
There you go.
Help,
It is. And most of my high Ds, it's why they don't have a social media presence. I could say
the same, brother. It's coming.
I know, but
it's coming in your face every goddamn day. Just be ready.
So's Christmas. We've been telling me that since we were in Boston.
Hey, don't make me come up to New York now.
Come on,
I got my hazmat suit.
Hey, look at Big Boy. You want it in the ring. There's scrappy people in this crowd. Okay, they scrap. I know you're big.
I'm good. You know what? I look slow, but I'm a lot faster.
All right. Well, listen. Let me give you the platform, though. What are you hearing, and what would you suggest? Let me give you the platform. I love, dissenting opinions. That's what makes
all I'm saying is that I think that if I sold a house in 8 days right now, especially with the market, because everyone's attitude is the market's dead, nothing's happening, and if that's not the case, I think it's important to throw out there that the market is active and vibrant, and don't sit back on your hands.
Well, for
that's
sure.
how I look at it.
Okay,
that's all.
Okay, but for sure. And I was not suggesting. I don't think even Paul was suggesting to himself that he doesn't put that up there. I just
you both said that we're not going to use the sold in 8 days stuff.
No, I didn't say that. No, that's what you heard. Hold on. I got him. That's what you heard. Let me reiterate. Okay. That's what you heard.
There you go. That's what I heard. That's what I interpreted.
Let me go back. Here's what I said. And I'll say this in normal times too. I believe that there's a time for resume-ish stuff and testimonials. I believe it. Because at some point in time, as that person moves down the line to be validated about you, to finally choose you, that's when that matters. Because there are people that are vetting you that way. All I'm saying is that he's asking a question about, and he melded two things, so we have to unpack it. You talked about a market update, but then you talked about one of your specific sales. So in order to make a semblance of order of this, what are you talking about first? Paul?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I need to do both. I had 2 closings this week. I want to blow that up on social media. And I also wanted to, if I'm going to do the market report one more time, because I'm kind of delinquent. I haven't done that in about 2 weeks, and there's only really one more time to do it before the end of the month when the new ones come out. So, but I guess the most important one, if we have to wrap up, one would be the solds this week.
Okay, look, here's what I would say is best practices anytime. Okay? Anytime. I believe that, let's just say you have this short window, this Twitter squeezed box within which you want to make the case. Okay? All I'm saying is, in happened here with COVID, there are still great stories that are happening in real estate. For this lovely couple, we were able to get their house on and short the window and sell it in 8 days. It's just it's a subtle change on what Lee's saying. It's language, right? You can't market always like you're a D. I'm plenty D. He's plenty D, right? I mean, I just told you, what do I really want to say to people? Shh, listen to me. Stop, listen to me. Just, you have to trust me. We don't need to go through all this. You need to sell. I know how to do that. Trust me. Okay? You want the evidence and the math? Here it is. You want to make up some price in your head? Why are you doing that? You don't have a big enough reason. You're not listening to me. There's the math. You can't make it go away, right? That's the way I really want to talk to everybody. But can I? I'd have no business. I'd have no business because I'm not in that kind of a relationship with somebody. This is not my kid who's about to go out to a hockey game after trusting me time after time of watching and giving some advice. Like Lee talking to his kid playing lax. We watch the thousands. We have deep relationship. You can give it to them like that. But as a marketer, you have to tell the story that magnetically attracts somebody in. And the chapters get deeper. It's like anything. When that offer is made by Maxie and Russell, an offer is made. It is accepted, right? The appointment is done. We go deeper into why they're doing it. We go deeper into that relationship. You know, hey, I know you're a little bit nervous about getting started with me, but I just showed a guy a house during COVID with booties on, and he put an offer in. There was no competition. That's where Lee's exactly right, right? You can lean in hard at the right moment. If you lead with it, I think was Alan's reaction because he's got a different personality type. He's high, I. So Alan's like, oh my gosh, it's so grotesque to see people being so gratuitous. And I had a reaction to a good friend.
But I'm hearing feedback from people making comments, not other agents. I'm talking about the public. I'm talking about friends that are being turned off by stuff they're seeing other agents to look at. So we had a call yesterday, in Berkshire, was talking to our manager. You know, they're on conference calls every day. And Berkshire's approach is they say, dial it back. Do not do the hard sell. You look at the national brands right now, GM, Ford, Mercedes, BMW. They are not going, come buy a fucking car from us today. We're the best goddamn car dealership in the world. They're saying, they start off in a more somber tone. Yeah. And I just think that what was apparent to me yesterday is the brand that you have today during this situation. You need to be careful of the brand that you're presenting in this market.
Correct, but I'm not going to pull it. You are right. You are right, but I'm not going to pull the punch like Lee's saying. Here's the way I balance it, right? I totally agree. And as Chris's question has ignited us into this situation, you need to first recognize the elephant in the middle of the room. Thank you, Gail, again. It's like, I get it. We're all struggling with COVID-19 and everybody's scared. Our best opinion as professionals who have to deal with it in a professional context is you go to mass.gov for the local real statistics and best practices advice. Go there. Stop listening to fear-mongering news. Next, if you have loved ones across the country, go to cdc.gov for the national statistics and state by state and follow their best practices. Now, having said that, I'm not going to stop being a real estate professional during this time, albeit I'm sequestered in an office all by myself today. I'm working. And here's what we're doing. We're continuing to push the agenda on the closings that we have, helping the people that we're dealing with move because they have to and they're in the middle of a deal. Yep. We're also prepping our clients that want to sell and have to sell right now. So even though they're locked down, we're sending over contractors if they're comfortable to price things out. They can leave the house while work is done. Right? Business is going on, albeit under different circumstances. So if you have to buy or sell right now, we have advice for you. We're not out of the advice and guidance business. It didn't stop. Okay.
I think that's a different approach, though. We're not out of we're still in the advice and, business regarding real estate, as opposed to saying, look at me, look at what we did. We slamming deals. We're busting it.
Yeah, but okay, but also, we've never believed that here, because and by the way, let me just finish because you got a good point here. I want to clarify what point you're trying to make and bring in what Lee's saying. I have always known that this bizarre attack approach for cold calling is why a lot of us never embraced it until we thought our way into it. Okay. Once we thought our way into it, we said, how can we open up a whole different way of doing it? Why do we just dismiss it? Because all the barbarians do it that grotesque way, in our opinion. Grotesque in our opinion. Okay.
Correct.
In mine, it's grotesque to me to be that gratuitous and non-servant mentality. But I'm going to bring in Lee. And this is why we have people like Lee that say, well, but I don't care. We have to sell. You're right. It's just how you do it. You can be as aggressive as you want. Look, I know COVID-19 is going on, but I saw that your house expired, okay? And it looks beautiful. And I want to send you the stuff that will help you sell it the next time. I'm adamant that this is the right stuff. It's what I use with my own clients. So I can sound more like a D if that's just me. And I can get it to them. And I'm not going to be apologetic for being good at what I do. And in fact, during tough times when people need to sell, you need me to give you at least this. You don't have to have me in. You don't have to decide I'm the right guy to hire, but you need this, okay? Take it.
You need this information.
You need this information. Take it. Don't sit there and tell me, I don't want everybody to send me. No, they didn't send you the same stuff. If they did, let me send it, put it right next to it, take a picture, and I'll send you a check for a steak or a vegan dinner. What side are you on, right? I'll send you a check. That's the way we want to passionately feel inside about the right kind of service, so that we can go into the gladiator pit with those people we consider grotesque and bang heads. It's just that we do it differently. So I'm definitely with Lee, but it's just how you say it makes you non-grotesque. If it's like if everything starts off with a mindset of we, you actually say it that way, even though you think you're not, you write it that way in a post. Hey, you're not going to believe that during COVID-19, we were still able to we were still able to guide these people through selling their property in only 8 days. That's just saying it differently than bang, like sold in 9 days for 96% of the asking price. Who gives a shit? That's about you. It falls flat on somebody who's just meeting you, right? Just tell them the story that in spite of COVID, life goes on. We still guide. We're fearless, but we're respectful of best practices of staying safe. It's just how. You don't stop doing it in a way.
Yeah, I agree. So you nailed it, man. Way to go, Danny. Good job, brother. Nice work.
You sound so high all of a sudden. I love it. What were you drinking?
Yeah. Woo, it's Friday.
Alan, did you send him something to drink? Because you know
he's been drinking. It sounds like he's been drinking.
I'm going with the Alan mood, man. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, brother.
There you go.
All right. Go,
nice.
Paul, go ahead. Lee,
I like
he's got a little captain in him.
Yeah, Lee, I like your point. Lee, I like your point.
My audience that I'm sending this to isn't people I don't know. I've got, I don't know, maybe 1,000 followers on Facebook. I send this stuff out to friends, family, and stuff. So it's not somebody I haven't talked to. I'm going to moderate it a little bit. I get what Alan's saying, but I'll change it somewhat. But I do want to celebrate the fact that, despite all this shit going on in our local MLS, trying to really completely shut us down, but I managed to get 2 houses sold in 2 days each this week.
Okay, so what are you conflicted? Hold on. What are you conflicted about that?
I think it's a great conversation, but all I wanted was a little moderation of the language. That's all I really wanted.
Like Chris.
But I think I got enough out of our conversation where I can sort it. I can sort it now.
Well, you know what it is? I'm putting it up on the screen right now. Go to thegriffin.co, go to the news/blog feed, scroll down to the second video, and listen to me do it. It's going to be the same advice. You're just all giving me a little bit of a different context, whether it's a just sold card, whether it's a video, a telemarketing script. There it is. That's my opinion on how to do it.
Paul, I got a great idea for you if you're willing to do it. Is there any way you could get those clients who you succeeded for in front of a webcam for 2 minutes and let them tell the story? This way it's not you bragging. It's that third-party validation in a time where they were in a really bad spot.
Yeah, I'm actually friends with one, long-term friends, and the other one's really are.
Well, you know how Paul loves video. So
I was just going to say
it, but yeah, I could definitely do it.
Yeah,
that's a great idea.
I got it, Paul. Listen, this is what I'm going to do. Get on the phone with them, see if they're okay with doing it. I'll get on a video with them and do it, and then we'll edit me out and have them answering the questions.
Dude.
I'll send it over to Corey. He'll chop it up, and we'll have 2 great testimonials for you.
Cake's on me in Boston, baby.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, unfortunately, I will not be in Boston. That is my wife's 50th birthday.
You'll be there. You'll be there. You'll bring her. Don't give me that crap. You'll be there.
No. I can't afford another ex-wife.
You'll bring her. Here we go. I don't even want to hear that crap from you. All right, Rebecca, you there? I'm going to go OT.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so here's the deal. I'm going to go OT for you because I saw a note from you, and then we're done. So I'll take one of these. You have 2 of them. Any preference?
Either one's fine.
Okay. Any context?
Let's see here. I don't know which one you're going to choose.
Ivy.
Okay, she's a follow-up call.
Okay. What was the other one?
First contact.
I want to hear
Constantine.
that. I want to hear that.
Okay.
Let's
Should
see.
end with 21. It'll be his.
Yep, I got him. Here we go. You're the final review of the day.
Hello?
Hello, Constantine?
Yes.
Hi, Constantine. This is Rebecca with Realty. I know we're going through some uncertain times right now, but I'd like to send you some information that will help you sell your beautiful homes and you decide to list it again. Can I send you that package out to you?
No, thank you.
All right. It's like the minute you do it, you're off. So what I hear is the same thing I heard with Terry. I'm not saying that Constantine still wouldn't have said no, thank you. Okay. I'm not saying that. And it looks like there's 3 minutes here. I don't know if he cuts you off and this just runs and records. But but you're making it up. And the question is why? What is it like to be you sitting there making this call? Because what I hear, it's the same advice that I gave Terry. You are not athletically prepared for Constantine's deal because you're jumbling all the words. It's coming out not as smoothly as it could. You started off buying Constantine and he recognizes his name and he says yes. And then you start to kind of go off, right? It's like it's really out of order. And I know why, because you have to say, hey, I know we're in uncertain times and, et cetera. But he's gotten calls. It's a dude and he's a D. Okay. This is the equivalent of Lee. Listen to him again and let's go back and listen to how you're out of order with things because it doesn't sound like that. Rebecca? Hey, it's Danny Griffin calling from Griffin Realty Group. The reason I'm calling is I saw your beautiful house online and I noticed it didn't sell. I understand we're in tough times, but I wanted to send you some information that would help you sell it the next time. And you're saying all these other things. So I can't protect you. Follow me?
I just said it slightly out of order.
It matters.
I said all the same information.
It matters. Okay. Hear me?
Can you explain why? Elaborate why?
Yes, because it's been tested and beaten into an order that flows more smoothly. That's why. You're using your own human discretion. I can't help you anymore. I can help you be inside very specific guardrails. That's why. Take it or leave it. It's very specific guardrails that after listening to hundreds of hours of phone calls, we're trying to simplify it for you so that you say it the smoothest way possible. And here, listen to why he cuts you off.
Hello?
Hello, Constantine?
Yes?
Hi, Constantine. This is Rebecca with Realty. I know we're going through some uncertain times right now, but I'd like to send you some information that will help you sell your beautiful homes when you decide to list it again. Can I
No, thank you.
you?
No, thank you. Bye-bye.
I can't tell you whether or not he wouldn't have done the same thing, right? I can't tell you or not. But again, if you start to play the puzzle pieces in a different order, I don't know what to say. Fight it or not, but I just, like, we're following in the very first beats. There's never a more important time than to be scripted and stay there. And again, it's like, were you, I don't know this, I'm asking, were you really, I'm asking actually rhetorically for everybody, were you really ready for this call? Did you really know, like, where Constantine was, what it was? Now, he's a jerk. He's a high D jerk, right? So he's not going to give you the time of day, and he cuts you off. So I'm not saying even getting it in the right order would have fixed it for this guy. No biggie. Move on to the next one, okay? Because he's not the ideal avatar. So we could dismiss it, but for the sake of training, I'm not interested in dismissing it. I'm interested in figuring out, okay, subtly, I heard this in Paul's calls too, with his gal, okay? Paul, if you want me to listen to that one, now that I just listened to that, I will if it's in my email, okay? So that's the challenge here, is that if we don't all agree on a formula and try to stick to it, it's hard. I get it. You're trying to make all these calls. Like I said to Terry, here's the hardest thing for telemarketer. All the dials with nobody picking up lulls you into a relaxed state where you're not ready for the fight that's about to come. And when I say fight, it's the fight with yourself to stay on target. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yes, it does.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, Danny, it's in there. It's in your email.
I can explain where I was coming from with this particular call. It was the first one where we added the recognition with COVID-19. So my dyslexic brain did jumble the order, but I tried to make sure that I got all the information in the script.
Which you did.
And
which you did. And if you go back and listen to me coaching you through this, you'll see that I said, I know why this happened, because you had to insert something new. I know what happened.
Indeed.
I know what happened. Yeah. I know exactly what happened. And it's the dilemma of the day. We're all trying to go, well, wait a minute. We've just been talking about how to do this, and now we got to throw this thing in? Hey, look, if you're not comfortable doing it, don't. Have the thought in your mind. Rebecca, it's Danny Griffin calling from Griffin Realty Group, and I happen to be spending a lot of time in the office, and I noticed your beautiful house online and noticed it didn't sell. So I wanted to just send you some information that'll help you sell it the next time. May I do that? Just move it through quickly. You don't have to go, you don't have to go through. If it makes you stumble and it throws you off, then don't, as long as it's in your heart to be respectful, right? And maybe you throw in a little quip towards the end of it. If it's throwing you off, do it back there. There's no, like with this extra context, there's no rule, right? The rule would be more so in any of these calls. Rebecca? Hey, it's Danny Griffin calling from Griffin Realty Group, and I noticed that you had created your free account on our website to get all the MLS listings, including the exclusive ones. And I just was calling to make sure that you are indeed looking in Palo Alto, because that's what it's telling me. Is that right? Just something like that. We just try to move through that first beat to tell them what the context for the call is. And this is one of those go-aways. Great. Next. There's nothing else to do with this guy. Guy just is, he's so high D, unless Gail decides that it's a good use of your time. I don't think it is. I want a willing participant. I want somebody to say to me, hey, this works, right? Cool?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Totally.
there's not
Thank
much.
You,
so there's not much you can do there, and I know why you were thrown off. And again, it's so easy to coach it, but to live it with heartbeats going and the guy's kind of rushing, you know what I mean? I get it. It's not lost in me. That's why we deal from a position of plenty. There's plenty of business out there. Keep going. Okay. Good job.
Thanks. Thank you, Danny.
You're welcome. Good job. All right, Paul. One more, because we had that, and you sent it.
I sent it to both Danny Boy and then Danny Griffin.
All right, one more, we'll wrap. Here it is. Any contacts before we start?
Yes, calling expireds as always. That's all she does. She doesn't didn't work in St. Clee's at all. So
good.
Out of the dialer, Vulcan 7. So you will see the awkward pause at the beginning that I know you hate.
No, it's okay. All good. Here we go.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, this is Mr. Clark.
Fine. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. See, we were just giving you a call because we saw your beautiful home online, and we noticed it didn't sell. So we wanted to send you something that will help you sell it the next time. May I do that?
Yeah, you want to send me something for to sell the next time? That's what you said?
Yes.
Okay, what do you want to send me?
See, we're mailing a list of properties with pictures and details that sold in your price range while you were on the market. And we're also including a copy of our 7-step listing plan.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay, can I confirm the best mailing address?
Bravo.
Is it 812 29th Avenue, South, number 3?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, it looks like a beautiful home. Why did you think it didn't sell?
No, almost. Great first beat, right?
I agree. I knew that's where you're going to tear it up at.
Well, they're not tearing it up.
I know, I'm messing with you.
But I love that we have this call because she does an excellent job in the first piece of it. She's patient. In the past, she was rushing. I can hear a little struggle with the language, but she's fine. So this is really good. I like this chunk. This is good. But why do you think it didn't sell? It's subtle, but like I was saying to Rebecca, these subtleties matter. Because like I was saying, if you want to humanize this in this moment in time, looks like a beautiful house. Why are we trying to sell it in the first place? You're now into your own relationship. When you ask them why it didn't sell, you're getting into this ugly thing that didn't happen. We no longer need to agitate the pain, right? Why go there? It's a more negative question. Well, not the question itself, but the answer can be like, oh, you know what? You can agitate the pain in marketing. I understand that, but you already got him in a positive place. He said yes, going to mail it. Hey, it looks like a beautiful house. How come you're trying to sell it? Right?
Yeah.
And I mean, again, the problem is we train, and she's been trained by somebody else to think the same as the herd, as the crowd. So she get like it's backwards. Let's see what happens to it so we can recover, and let's see if she does. Hang on.
I don't know. I couldn't get enough money. I don't know why I didn't sell. So
see, he's confused, right? He's confused. Like that question confused him. Now, it does reveal an opportunity that is confused, and the plan will help him and all that stuff. But you can hear it immediately. The question triggers confusion. If she had simply asked him why, he's very intimately familiar with why. It's his decision to do so. So you could get him up to a place where it's more personal. It's more about him. And what do we say? They will, if they co-create the conversation, especially with a positive bent about themselves, they're supporting your relationship you're building. Let's see where he goes.
I'd call him before happy hour next time.
I think he's just an older dude.
Hold on. That clown. You made me stick here. Come on now. I got to listen to the whole thing now. Now I got to see Clever jinxed me. Hang on. I got to refresh this thing. Let's listen to the whole thing in its entirety if I can get it back. Hang on.
It's not that long. It's 2:09.
Yeah. We'll listen to it. We'll wrap. I love this though. I've gotten some really good ones here today. That the subtleties. We're into the subtleties, and this is not an easy thing to do. Whether it's a video or telemarketing or face to face, it's not easy to stick to a formulaic way that actually is designed that way to support and empower the hero. Right? We're not sticking to formulas so that we win. First, we win by default. The more formulaic we are in helping them, the more empowered they are in the decision, and then the business is magnetically coming in. That's the philosophy here. That's supposed to be, working. Okay, hang on one second. Here we go. One more time. Clever, don't jinx me. You bum. Hang on, we're sorry. There we go.
Hello. Hi, this is Mr. Clark.
Fine, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. See, we were just giving you a call because we saw your beautiful home online and we noticed it didn't sell. So we wanted to send you something that will help you sell it the next time. May I do that?
Yeah, you want to send me something for to sell the next time? That's what you said?
Yes.
Okay, what do you want to send me?
See, we're mailing a list of properties with pictures and details that sold in your price range while you were on the market. And we're also including a copy of our 7-step listing plan.
Okay.
Okay, can I confirm the best mailing address? Is it 812 29th Avenue, South, number 3?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, it looks like a beautiful home. Why did you think it didn't sell?
I don't know. They couldn't get enough money. I don't know why it didn't sell. So they didn't tell me this shit didn't sell it. So anyway, I'm gonna put it back on the market pretty soon.
I understand. And on the scale of 1 to 10, how motivated are you to sell it?
On the scale of what?
What, I'm sorry?
You said, what? You said on the scale of 1 to 7, how much?
How motivated are you to sell it?
I mean, I'm selling when I get enough money first. On the scale.
Okay. All right. It depends on the offer, right?
Yeah, they have a good offer, yeah.
Okay. All right, perfect. Well, we'll send that over, and I'll give you a call in a week just to make sure that you received it, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this call to me just continues to show me her limitation, which is she runs out of tarmac here. Again, this is the challenge with being overseas. If you're not very clear about the handoff spot there, the handoff needs work. This is actually a very motivated.
Should have went for the appointment.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a guy who's very motivated based on what he just said. He's going to put it on very soon. He has no idea what happened, so he's ripe for good education and guidance. And now, where does this go next, Paul? Tell me a little bit more about the mechanism for pass off.
Well, that's interesting. The package was sent out on Monday of this week, so he's scheduled for a call today. She's not working this week, as per our conversation on Tuesday. I gave her the week off, and we're going to kind of reconvene on Monday and see where things are at. So I'm actually going to call this guy myself, so I can definitely send you a text and let you know if I.
Well, here's what I would say. I'm with Lee. The close was right there in front of you for a now appointment. This is an example of one of those situations where there's a now appointment here. And that's what we're, again, we don't want to lose our brains and forget what we're doing here, that we're there to get appointments. And this is the challenge with going, in this case, not overseas, but south to Mexico, where she's just not getting that. It's lost. It's lost on her a little bit. Like she really needs to ask for that appointment right there. Well, geez. And this is again, when she's, hang on, Jonesy, if that was you trying to talk. So the idea is that she has the right guy for you in the palm of her hand. And again, here we go. She's just, her mentality is get the package out the door. You can hear it. And when she asks the wrong question, why do you think it didn't sell? She confuses him. And then she comes back with on a scale of 1 to 10. The scale of 1 to 10 question only really, truly makes sense after he said why. Because we're still thinking timing and motivation, but we're bringing in why. Your motivation is more about the why. Okay.
Can I ask you something, Danny?
Sure. Oh, sorry, David. That was you. Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
That was me.
Oh, Jonesy, sorry, I'll come to you too. David, go, and then Jonesy, go. Go ahead, David.
So with that scale of 1 to 10 question, I find that it's useful when I'm getting nebulous answers to basically if I'm saying, why do you want to make a move? Or why do you want to sell your home? Or what have you? And people sort of give me stuff like, well, I'm tired of renting. I want to own something or something like that. Then I find the scale of 1 to 10 is really useful. And I find it less useful when someone says, I have a closing date of this date in 2 months and I need to sell right away. I feel I don't even have to say that.
You're right. You don't, but be careful. Okay? That's all I would say. I think you're exactly right. And who am I to argue with a guy that makes that many phone calls? I think you would come to the conclusion I would have expected you to come to. If she asked the right question and he goes off, I got to get out. That's what happened with Autumn and Amy. She calls Amy. She goes, I'm already in the house, right? I'm already in the house. I mean, you're right. She could have closed. She could have closed, and I think she did in that case. We're only saying that you're right if we're trying to pry out a little bit more. The guy already gave you the timing. We don't need to go into the 1 to 10 and then, deduce. But what you're doing here, Dave, is more subtle than that. It's sort of this zero-based thinking, okay? You're reaffirming, you're having them reaffirm, why the heck are they doing this to begin with? Any of it. And so by asking, why are you wanting to buy? Why are you needing to sell? Or wanting to sell? Why? Are you nuts? This is a pain in the neck to do this. Why are you doing it at all? So it's zero-based thinking. You're bringing them back to that very zero base. Was this the right decision to begin with? What motivated you to really say, I got to do this? And then if we need clarification, sure, but it's again about them. They might need the clarification. You could even suggest it. So on a scale of 1 to 10, sounds like it might be a 10. Yeah. You're just really having them really solidify where they're at in the process. It's not about us. So that for you is a huge, subtlety. You got it? Don't cheat them of a process they might need. You don't need it in that situation. You're a closer. It's ready. Go. But just make sure that you hear my caveat. Don't cheat them of something they might need to clarify. Because now they're going to support what they created. I have a reason. You're right, I'm a 10. Well, geez, you know what we do with people that are a 10? We send somebody now. You get me? I'm exaggerating the point for you, Dave, but that's where I'm coming from. Okay?
Roger that.
Yeah, good job. And you're right to do it. Just don't cheat them of the whole process that they might need. Go ahead, Jonesy. What do you got for me, pal?
Well, you just said at the end what I would have done. That one would have been a hand delivered right then and there.
For sure.
And, and it looks like you're in a kind of really would like to get this thing sold. How about we send one of our representatives over with the package for you right away?
No doubt. The close is there. So for anybody that's leveraging, because I know you were talking to Paul about maybe using somebody like that, you see the limitation and you see why Paul keeps bringing me these things week after week. Okay. I'm not saying that I don't have to have that conversation with Autumn, but Autumn closed me 3 tacit appointments. One I've had on the phone this morning already. He's coming down next week. Okay. And I found out the real reason why there's a drag on it. And it's a serious one. So we lay off a little bit. I'll know this afternoon. And then she was trying to get me in for a walkthrough. Guy blew me and her off for confirmation how to get in, but we're going to keep pushing. So we take immediately what we can get because relationship building is inches. But if it's why wouldn't I just put this package together and come over? You're down this weekend? Let me come meet you. Let me deliver it myself. It's very logical, right? And that's natural for us, Jonesy, but a lot of people that don't feel it, like this caller. We need this caller to understand this. You hear me dig in with these telemarketers deeply. They have to understand how pivotal this moment is. And if they don't get the right information, they don't give the right experience, they're setting us up for failure when we go out there. Or worse, they're missing an opportunity. Think about how much time is going by from this good call to that package getting there. We would only wait till next week to call if we knew that they weren't really ready right now. I mean, let's start a new concept here for all you telemarketers who are still on the call or anybody that's training them. If there's a real need, go for the hand delivery inside the week, right? If you hear real reason, at least, and maybe a 10, delivery, automatic. Don't say I'm going to send it. Say, why don't I have Paul hand deliver it? And then if they blow you off, because I'm not quite that ready. Okay, well, let me get it to you. I'll get it to you quickly, and I'll have Paul follow up. Period. All right, gang, listen, we went way over time. Appreciate you all. Let's call it a day, but really good job here today and some tough stuff. We're now into some subtleties here, but the subtleties totally matter. So stick with it. Okay, Fahad, nice beard.
Danny,
look at Fahad with the beard, dude. Yeah, Autumn, go ahead.
Are we doing campfire?
No, that was yesterday.
Yep.
We're all done. Yep, Fahad, I love the beard, brother. Looks good, man. Come and think. You know, match for that guy Cohen there. Look at Cohen though.
Oh yeah,
dude, that's the real deal. Look at Abe. Abe looks like a little baby boy next to his baby brother, huh? Look at that beast.
Yeah.
Huh? A couple of birds living in that thing by now. All right, all. Have a good weekend. Go practice this stuff. Get me some love. And Lee, we love you.
Yeah, right, man. I'm hurt now. I'm drinking again.
No, now that you're a high eye, we want to thank Alan for finally
Hey, I
you.
think Fahad probably grew that beard in about 24 hours, too.
That's nothing done.
It's called social isolation.
Yeah, exactly. Nice. Yeah, and he's got a new baby at home, so he's up in the attic hiding from his wife and the baby.
Yeah, they actually came up here a couple of minutes ago to eavesdrop.
Yeah, I love it. All right, gang. See you later. I care about you all. Be safe. Take care.
Thanks, Danny.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.